Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I'm arguably getting worse. We are an hour behind because, like the last episode said, I used my soundboard poorly, and it spent the entire hour that we were supposed to be recording trying to get the soundboard working. I didn't. All of the music you're going to hear is all in post. Which is fine because I got tired of using it. I thought it took 30 minutes, but it actually took an hour. So, going to be a low energy, tired episode.
I don't think it was wasted. You know, in an essence, we are getting better. And, you know, if I've learned one thing from my investment in Dogecoin, it's that it goes way, way down and then even further down and then even further down after that. But I hear a lot of people on Reddit saying it's going to go up again. So that's exciting news. Unrelated, if you have a spare $800 that I could borrow, that would be incredibly helpful.
Tight. I also did put all of my money in Dogecoin, so now I am also broke.
I only had $800 in
my whole life
in this fantasy.
Well, also for this last hour, I was gaslighting you because I was watching an Iran-Contra documentary, and in the background on my computer, and accidentally turned it on. Didn't know I turned it on, and because of all the audio problems, I couldn't hear it. So Zach just kept being like, "Are you playing the news?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. The CIA must be listening on the call." No, It was Oliver North testifying in front of Congress. Oopsies.
Oliver North, noted innocent guy, noted not convicted for anything sort of guy. So he's a
friend of the show, Oliver North.
Friend of the show, Oliver North. You know, I've been thinking a great deal about this one specific scene from Ratatouille. I don't know how familiar you are, but in the scene, Ego at the end of the movie makes a reference to, well, he's talking about criticism, and it's after he meets Remy the rat, and after he reviews Gustavos, he's writing his review, and he makes a point about kind of the nature of criticism, and that even the worst piece of trash will have more value than the criticism itself because they created something. And with that in mind, I do want to talk about the MTV dating show Fifth Wheel, which Sam sent me earlier this week, and I did not tell him that I watched it in secret for the
Welcome
sole
to our
purpose.
segment of Ought Not.
Welcome to our segment of Ought Not, where, like Ego, the critic, I review something that people spent time and effort creating, and we judge the value of it based on our future lenses rather than the ones they had there. So, do you want to?
Well, can I say just as a to let you know beforehand? Yeah. I only got to the fifth wheel, the titular fifth wheel. So I saw when the fifth wheel came in.
Okay, you honestly did not miss that much. But do you want to briefly run down the idea of fifth wheel?
Yeah, so the guy from Jackbox.
It is the guy from Jackbox. I was
the guy who does the voiceover for Jackbox. He's the host.
Yeah, if you've ever been in your late 20s and married or hanging out with other late 20s married people, you are intimately aware of Jackbox games.
I don't even know how it came across my radar, but I was just like, oh, this seems like a fun. Oh, you know what it was? I was sitting down with cold beer to watch episode 5 of Mr. Personality. Because I had never seen the season finale, and there's only 2 episodes.
Yeah, we gotta get onto that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll just watch the end of this show. The second episode was so buck wild. Like, I wonder what the 5th episode's like. And I went on the guy's YouTube page to be like, oh, I wonder, maybe he does have the other episodes that are just buried. And I saw Fifth Wheel, and I was like, gotta know what that is. And then the fucking Jackbox voice jumped on. I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing now. So the premise of the show...
He comes on and he is like, uh-oh, looks like this dog is in the doghouse.
That's a pretty good impression.
Thanks, man.
So basically, the premise of the show is you get 4 people. They're on a bus, a la Next.
Which is decorated out in all the Fifth Wheel decals. And it just seems like MTV has an endless budget for bus decoration.
Oh, it's not MTV, it's UPN.
Oh, it's UPN. Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh. That is even more surprising.
It's wild. Anyway, so they get two couples, and the two couples go on like they basically like two guys, two girls, and then they split off and they do separate dates, and then they switch. So like guy one, guy two, girl two, and then they switch, and it'll be guy one, girl two, guy two, girl one. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then after they make their love connections, and there's lots of little like wild graphics that we'll get into, they add a fifth wheel who's really gonna mix it up. And and I don't know how the show. I don't know what the conclusion. I think it's one of those. I mean, it's definitely one of those shows where there's new contestants every week. So like, there's a conclusion at the end of the episode, but I don't know. Do they like?
Yeah,
I don't know what happens.
I'll run that down for you when we get there. But we are introduced to 4 absolute asshats. It is Jessica, Brad, Arpad, and Kim. So
Kim seems alright.
I'm gonna run down the. I'll start with Kim because Kim is the most normal. Kim was picked up like in a parking lot. It probably just like, hey, do you want to be on this show? And she was like, yes, you're fine.
She's like, my yoga got canceled.
That's Jessica. Kim is the one who is the. She's like, I'm into new experiences and adventures, and then Arpad, who we'll get into in just a second. Arpad is like in the bedroom, and she's like, absolutely not.
No, just like a normal person would say.
But she's a conservative. She's normal. She is like a perfectly normal girl that has been looped into the worst night of her life. Following up with that, we have
the worst 1 o'clock in the afternoon of her life.
No, it goes on for a while because it's at the end of the show. It's at nighttime. Like
again, the first half is only in the middle of the day.
Yeah. So this is a whole ass day. We meet Jessica, who's a yoga instructor. Also seems totally normal.
She seems pretty normal.
These 2 poor girls are mixed in with
two of the worst humans.
It was as if they were trying to find the same character but just reskinned as a different so Brad, who
like
is
variants, they're variants of each other,
but they both exist on the worst guys you've ever met, like end of a bell curve. Where
they're like shitty sex pests, but like 2 different kinds of annoying
different kinds of sex pests. Brad is a dude who is like, I'm a nice guy, and nice guys always finish last, and I want to treat a lady with respect, and if I could marry a girl right now, I would. I hate dating, and I love cuddling. I'm kind of like a woman in that way. I love cuddling. I'm like the woman in the relationship. You know, creepy shit to say that everyone thought you could say back in the early 2000s, and now it's like if someone were to say that to you, it's like, hey man, ease the fuck up. Like, you're
also,
being
keep in mind,
weird
like,
as hell.
The way that you, like, the tone of voice you used made it sound as if this was in like a confessional. He is saying this directly to their faces. All of this is to them. When he's like, a woman, what was the first one you said? I mean, it's, nice guys always finish last. And Jessica literally rubs his shoulder and goes, aw, no, you're great.
Yeah.
Like
just
that
like this,
the worst. Oh, well,
yeah, this like,
I like
total gamer move, and like he might as well like look at the camera and go like gotcha. Like I'm
gonna guilt her into sex with me.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's kind of my thing, and I'm gonna convince her that I'm like a woman because I like cuddling. You know, a traditionally non-masculine activity. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. And then we meet.
Okay, because the thing is, like, to be all right. So in his paradigm, he's like, cuddling is for women. Women cuddle with men though. So there are men involved in the activity.
Yeah.
But just for him, he's I don't know. Look. The odds, the Bush years were tough. 9/11 had just happened.
Yeah.
Also, for everyone playing at home, I did mention 9/11, so you have to drink. But anyway,
yeah. We were working with a lot of like trying to find out what gender was, as well as like coming out of the
economy was about to crash. They didn't know it yet.
Coming out of this like sexualized 90s, or just trying to be like Spike TV was really cooking. It was a tough time to be alive.
It was hard for people. I mean. we just started. I don't want to get you off of this because I do want to talk about the show. We just started watching The Challenge on Netflix, and I think Fifth Wheel was a good primer for me because I'm watching The Challenge. I'm like, damn, things used to be so different like 10 years ago. Like, things, I mean, I guess it's more than 10 years ago now.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
in the aughts, like, shit was so wild. and
Yeah.
Fifth Wheel is certainly an example.
So, and then we meet who I believe is the star of the show, in my
Of course,
opinion.
of course.
It's this dude named Arpad,
Straight out of Central Cast.
and he is as if the book, the game, like the pickup artistry book, became a real ass person.
Yeah,
and
he's a
who
pickup
is
artist for sure.
who is walking this earth, and he is both a pickup artist and the worst pickup artist that has ever lived.
The most unlikable.
He is constantly like I rewatched this because I vaguely remember this, but his first thing he says is like, I'm kind of a sensitive guy, but I like to speak my mind, and I was like, no.
No, you're not.
Like,
well, what's wild is because by mid show, Jessica's like down. Jessica's like he's got her arm around her. Like like his whole bit like completely works, right? Like, I mean, to show the horror of the time, it completely works. Where he's just a total sex pest, and then she's like, "Oh, I could fix him."
Yeah. Total sex pest is like constantly being like, I'm in the Mile High Club. You like spanking, huh? Like, it's just like he's the worst dude, and they are trapped on a bus together at the beginning of this episode in some sort of, I don't know, Saw movie scenario.
I mean, it looks like the next bus.
It was like the next bus. So they're all talking to each other, and Arpad and Brad are, as we've said before, basically playing the same game of like trying to like work an angle. And even in situations where like Brad is with the girls by themselves,
oh my
he's
gosh,
just, like,
so miserable.
Yeah, he is just like, that Arpad is a bad guy, not
It's like
me. I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy, and I would marry you if I had the chance. And then, like, the entire show is predicated on the fact that at the end of it, I think so. This was the tone that I got. I'll tell you how it ends. So,
please.
We meet this new girl, Linda, who she says the worst thing. Like, she is like, basically, I'm a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets. Like, that's her angle. And then
which again, she says to Brad's face.
Yes, which she says to Brad's face. And she comes in to the Arpad guy, just trying to do exactly what you said. Like, I'm going to fix him. I know he's a sweet guy. And it's just like, I know he's a sweet guy. And I know all I have to do is talk to him, and then he'll be a sweet guy. And then I was just like, this is like, I
mean, I think her like intro bumper, again, just to show like the sign of the times, is she's just like, yeah, I'm kind of a slut. And it's like, oh, cool, all right, weird. What a weird way to present yourself on national television.
Yeah.
And also, Arpad does this thing that it is okay. Again, when we talk about a variant of the same guy, the Brad version of this is going up to a girl in a coffee shop and asking her about the book she's reading, which is just like, I don't know if you've ever thought this through for like 15 seconds, but that's actually like what's the follow-up conversation? Like, it's dumb. Yeah. It's like a thing people do in movies, but it doesn't make any fucking sense in real life. Like, well, she hasn't finished the book yet, so she probably doesn't have that much to say about it. Maybe you've read the same author.
I have a story of how I did that in real life, and it was a horrifying set of circumstances that I put myself in.
It's a terrible idea because she hasn't finished the book yet. and if you've read the whole book, I guess you can tell. But like, I hope you remember what chapter is happening then, and if you haven't read the book, or maybe you've read a book by the same author, like that's something. But what if she hasn't read that book by the same? There's nothing to talk about. You have nothing to talk about. She's reading. Leave her alone.
Yeah.
Anyway, Arpad pulls the same move where he's like, "Hey, Jennifer, what's the other girl's name? What's the girl who's like, I'm a slut? What's her name? The fifth one.
Her name is Linda.
Linda. He's like, hey, whisper in my ear the dirtiest thing you've ever said in bed, which is like,
that is
what are you?
That is shit that you can only say in the aughts. Like,
what is she gonna say that's gonna be like, what? How does that end? What is she? Unless it's like a slur. Like, what is she gonna say that's really out of the park for you if you think about it for more than like 25 seconds, or if you
Yeah.
like ever had
Because
sex? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Because then
It's
she
something to say
does.
in movies.
Yeah, then she does it, and he's like, "Whoa,
Oh, buddy. It just
wow,
doesn't.
yee."
It's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah. So the show the show continues on. Linda comes in. I think she is like supposed to
Shake
like
things up.
yeah, she's supposed to shake things up. But all that happens is like she comes in, both Brad and Arpad are, are doing a good job gaslighting Kim and Jessica into thinking that they're like good dudes. So,
I think
and I
just
think
Jessica. Kim seemed to really be impatient with this whole experience.
yeah, having the worst afternoon of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Linda comes in. They go on some dates, and then while they're going on dates, the other guy gets to hang out with the other two girls, and that's when Brad's really being like,
That was the worst part.
like I think that I think that Linda and Arpad deserve each other. They're not. He's not a good boy like me, and she's not a good girl either. Like at one point, this is when Brad truly reveals himself.
Fucking
Like
hate him.
we like us having 2021 eyes were like, oh, you're the worst, but like
Yeah.
you have reskinned your personality into a good
You're a nice
dude.
guy.
So yeah. But he says something. So basically, him and Linda are having this conversation, and she's like, yeah, she says, I'm a slut in the bedroom, but I am a lady in the streets, and like is like basically just confidently saying what she's about. Sure, whatever.
Fine.
And then
Just a weird way to put it.
It cuts to Brad in a talking head, and he's like, she had a lot down here, points at his chest, and then said, but nothing up here, and points at his head. It is like, I was like, Brad, you sexist asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I knew
because
it.
Of course, all those guys all reveal themselves to be exactly the same. Right. They're just Arpad, but they're cowards.
Yeah.
That's why I like Arpad better.
Yeah. Arpad, he...
Like, he's terrible, but at least he's not a coward.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brad is a coward. But so the show goes on, and it is, as I was watching it, it is predicated on, I think that they like go on a date or they hook up or whatever.
Completely unclear.
And Brad looks like a serial killer, creepy as all get out.
Right.
And they do this thing where at the end of the episode, it has the two... Now the guys are gonna choose which ladies they're gonna fuck, and they put they put the two guys and the ladies across from each other, and they're all holding these like paddles that on the other side sit.
They've not introduced as a concept.
No.
5 minutes.
Cool. So they're just like, all right, boys, who you gonna pick? And then Arpad chooses Jessica, yoga instructor. Yeah. Brad also chooses Jessica, yoga instructor, so now it's up to her. And she says like something along the lines of like, you guys are both great, and this is the hardest decision I've ever had to make. She says this is the hardest decision I've ever had to make, and I was like, damn.
I guess I hope so. Good for you.
Yeah. So she's like,
lived.
this is the hardest decision I've ever to make, but I have to go with the best cuddler, and then it's Brad, and then he's like, hell yeah. And then
they never spoke again.
And then Kim and Linda walk off into the sunset, and they have these like walking away talking heads where Kim is like, I should have put myself out there more. And I wish that kid had been like, this was the worst experience I have ever had. Shame on all of you. This is horrible. You are enabling shitty dudes to get away with stuff like this. This is the aughts. I'm from the future. You will look upon this and cringe.
She could be like, my only regret for not getting picked is that I couldn't reject either of those men. But you're missing a couple really great details. Okay, but the other thing is, part of me watching these like mid-2000s shows again is making me think, like, I don't know if it was a crazier time or just a more sincere and honest time. Because remember in Mr. Personality where the dude just, like, gets a blowjob from one of the strippers they hired?
Yeah,
And it's
I
like,
remember
I
that.
don't think that that's happening maybe less. Maybe it is. I have no idea. But like,
Yeah. It's all
all
of
the shows from the aughts. I mean, and we're watching the challenge, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get banged," and this girl is like, "Yeah, I was pretty crazy the last time," and it's showing her like flashing everybody and making out with it. I'm like, "Yo, game shows were wild back then. Like, what's going on?"
yeah. Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
might have. Yeah, it might have been a time where, like, I guess, like, corporate dollars were being funded into these, like turn of the millennium spring break sort of vibe, where
Yeah,
it was
totally.
getting all of these like aging, fucking. I don't even know if that's. It would have been Gen Xers, I guess, and been like, "You guys like skateboards? You guys like to fuck? Like, get onto this bus."
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
I don't know if it's. I don't know if the times. Well, the times were different. I don't know if the times were different in that people were acting different, or the times are different in that like
well,
we
I
just
don't know,
showed it
because
more of like this is
I
how
guess
people
so.
act.
Yeah, but it
I have no
does. I
idea.
mean, well, you and I, over the course of our lives, have definitely been in situations where we've met people that are still like that, and
Sure,
it's
of course.
just like it is jarring. Where it's like, what the hell? Like,
Right.
like how did you get this far?
Like that waiter
Um,
who said, "Sorry, I'm not a hot chick." Whatever his fucking
yes,
name was.
yes. Just like the legend himself.
Yeah.
Rob
Anyway,
was his name.
so Rob, you are missing a couple really great details that I do want to get back to.
Okay.
So Brad, the creep, the other creep, sorry, Brad, he does talk his way into cuddling with Jessica.
I didn't know if you got to that part.
No, I
yet.
got that far. I think that's maybe where I tapped out, but but it's weird because they're obviously in a second room. So they're sitting at this table talking. And again, the whole time I was just like, part of me, like my instinct is just it's not sympathize with Brad, but just want to like shake him. And he's just like, all he wants to talk about is how Arpad's such a bad guy. And I'm like, hey boss, if you would talk about your own personality for like a minute, maybe these people would genuinely like you. But like you're framing everything. Like Arpad's becoming the main character because you just want to talk about how he's not as good as you. Why don't you sell yourself for why you're a good guy that they should actually date? I don't know.
Well,
I was
you
frustrated
didn't
with
finish it, and boy, oh boy, did it work out for Brad in the end.
Apparently.
Well, that's probably just because Arpad just was he was an unrelenting locomotive, just flying through traffic.
Well, okay, so but anyway, he was frustrating and gross in many ways. Brad was. But yeah, they go to like a second location. I guess they're in like a different room, and he's like, "I'll show you good cuddling, and then you could put your." And it's again like, are you all from Mars? Surely you have all done this. Why is your thing cuddling?
No,
Like, what do you mean?
He's got his edge, and that's like, I'm a sensitive boy, and I do sensitive things. But yeah, no, it is
But
because
it's like,
she.
what are you talking
It
about?
does seem prompted in
nothing.
this really strange way because she says something like, because Jessica, doing what the audience should be doing and shaking Brad a little, goes like, what are you talking about? Like, you keep saying cuddling. What is this?
Do you mean just like sleeping together? Like,
yeah, it's like
what
she
do you
says,
mean?
you keep saying cuddling, and then he's like, there's a lot of different ways to cuddle, and then she says like, show me a thing or two, and then then the next shot is
But then they went to a different room, which is
like,
so bizarre. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk about that I had to go back because I was like, did I miss a piece of dialogue? So both of Arpad's dates are in a barber shop where he's pretending to cut these women's hair.
Yeah. He does this
never
thing.
Explained.
So yeah. So, and
They
was
go to
confused.
Rudy's barber shop.
I was confused about this in that it looks like it's in like a mall or something.
But the person
like,
next to her is getting her hair cut.
yeah. So he does this thing where Brad is in like a restaurant, and he is mind you, it should be noted that like Arpad has like kind of like that sort of longer Nickelback like collarbone length haircut that was paramount for like, yeah, I'm kind of a bad boy, like haircut circa 2002 or whatever. But yeah, so
but he doesn't have scissors or like a comb. He's not cutting their hair.
I was confused by that because it cuts to Brad, and he is just like, he's like, I like to cuddle. I'm a good cuddle boy. And then it cuts to Arpat, and he's doing the thing where like he's like teasing her hair, like he's like
trying to feather it.
Yeah, it's
out
like
of the
feathering her
top.
hair in the back, and then he's like, so, do you like to get spanked or not? It's just like, are we getting a haircut? Like, are
Why
you
is this?
like,
Like, what if the roles were like? I just don't understand. They went into a barber shop at a mall. She sat
they
down in a
went into a
barber
master
chair,
cuts? Yeah.
and Arpad touched her hair for 10 minutes and asked her about like anal. Like, I don't understand what the date
Yeah,
was. Like, I
he
don't understand what the
did
date
do,
was.
he did do that.
It's like,
Yeah,
so.
and they're like looking in the mirror, and yeah, it's like because he doesn't like spin her around to talk to her. It's like only through like how a hairdresser would talk to you,
But
and he
he's
does it with
not
both dates.
and they never explain why, because he didn't plan the date. It's not a date,
No,
but like he didn't plan it.
the interview or whatever is going on.
It's
Yeah,
so
the
it's so absolutely bizarre.
yeah. Here's what I'm I'm a fifth wheel truther, and I like to imagine that Kim was getting her hair cut, and then a train of cameras and producers just rolled in.
That's the
and
thing
it's
that got
just like,
canceled that she
yeah,
did.
yeah, and he's
Yeah.
just like, "Are your boobs real?" And Kim's like, "What the fuck? What is happening?"
No, it's more like, do you mind if this guy asks you if your boobs are real for, the next 3 hours? Like, I'll take $400. That works for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Also,
Dude, I loved it.
can't
It was
emphasize this
like
enough. Narrated
peak,
by the guy from Jackbox.
dude. It was peak trash. It was
So
absolutely.
weird.
It is. It was that kind of peak trash where it is like nothing is explained and things keep
Nothing
happening,
is
and you just kind of
explained
have
at
to
all.
roll with it. Like it is something I have noticed with shows from the aughts. There is this like really strange like shit just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And there's like not a host that's like, "Hey everyone, like this is what's just to give you guys kind of cued in."
Yeah.
Like it's just shit is just happening. And then
yeah.
they give you a brief rundown at the beginning. And then like by the time the fifth wheel shows up, I'm just like, "Who is this? What's happening?" Like why are we back on the bus? And yeah, it's so good. It was something I noticed most like acutely with Mr. Personality, where
Yeah. Oh,
just
yeah.
like the editing was so bananas and things were just happening. Like they were at a luau and they were dancing, and the very next scene, the guy's taking off his mask and he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like this is my face, and I'm just like, what? Like, what
I gotta
is
see
happening?
episode 5. That show rocks. And then the next scene, the guy's hooking up with the lady upstairs,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the
yeah.
next scene, they're watching it on the. So the other thing
Yeah,
I
yeah.
noticed this on the challenge is like, and it's almost a little more jarring watching it on Netflix because there aren't commercial breaks, but like they do all these establishing shots. They'll like do an establishing shot, at least in like the third episode or whatever. It's only 20 minutes long because there's 10 minutes of commercials in the show.
Mhm.
And I think a normal show is 22, so I guess it's only 2 extra minutes. But anyway, it seems like there are 55 commercial breaks in the show. Where I'm like,
Oh yeah, no.
it's like, is this like a minute? Like, but because I assume every establishing shot is coming back from commercial break, and there's a sequence in one of these episodes where this girl, if you're watching at home, it's the one where the girl throws the other girl's clothes in the pool. Where I swear to God, there was like 11 seconds of TV, and then it would cut back to an establishing shot again. I'm like, was that a commercial break? Like, how? It seems impossible to watch. Like, it seems like it's just. And there would be things where, like, one girl was like, "I'm not going to go to the challenge," and they're like, "Man, this girl really needs to suck up and go to the challenge." Cut to the challenge, and I knew that was a commercial break, and it was like, oh, I guess they just got it sorted out off screen. Now we've moved on to something else. Like, we're just not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
Weird,
no,
man.
I'm looking at this and it looks incredible. Yeah, 16 episodes, 21 minutes apiece. That's an afternoon right there. That
Is
seems
this
like a really good time.
Is this the challenge or is this?
This is the challenge. I was just looking it up on Netflix.
Oh well,
And
so
I saw all of the very 2000, the very aughts haircuts. The very Sugar Ray is still popular, so I'm
Faux
gonna kind
hawks,
of look
lot of
like
faux
that.
hawks.
Yeah.
They also so the thing about the challenge that I really like, I remember watching it when it was on, but also it's they have increasingly insane titles, which I think is really funny. So the actual title of that season of the show is Real World Road Rules Inferno to the Challenge.
That's good.
Because it's
Getting paid by the letter in that
apparently.
in that title.
It's apparently it's the former it's their Bachelorverse basically.
Yeah, the MTV verse, yeah.
I mean, it is because it's the people who are on Real World, but then also people who are on the sister show that I've never seen. I only know of it from these Gauntlet shows called Road Rules, which is just like Real World, but they live in an RV.
Sick.
And that sounds like a terrible show that would get canceled after one season, but there were 14 seasons of Road Rules. And then once you're on Real World or Road Rules, you start going to the Challenge and the Gauntlet and these type of things, and it's like a competition show. That I will say, what sets it apart as a competition show is it is incredibly violent. Like, I'm not kidding. These people, the challenges, they beat the shit out of each other. Like, this is not.
Let me get a look at this trailer here. Let's see.
A violent show. And it is very kinetic, and it is something where like it's real wild where they get.
Oh my gosh! There's some scenarios happen here. This is some jigsaw looking shit.
Oh yeah, the actual.
They're like spinning them around on
It's wild. It's a wild show. There was one challenge where it was like, all right, you guys are gonna hang on monkey bars and kick each other in the chest till someone falls off, and the one who falls off, they have to go home, and that's the challenge. They just like beat the shit out of each other. It's so weird.
Okay. Now, while I was looking up the challenge, I was typing in the challenge, and I did find a TV show called The American Bible Challenge.
Fuck yes.
Which is done out to be like a Family Feud or a Jeopardy type thing, where it's tested on Bible knowledge. I'll give you two guesses on what famous comedian do we think is hosting the American Bible Challenge?
Is it Kramer?
It is not. It is not Kramer. It is not Michael Richards. Yeah, trying to redo. The answer is very obvious. And you can play along at home.
No, wait. Okay, wait. No, let me do this.
Who do you think is Jeff Dunham is not the correct answer.
Okay.
But okay, so I'll give you a hint. For one reason, Jeff Dunham is very, very close. And for another reason,
is it Larry the Cable Guy?
It is not Larry the Cable Guy. That's the closest answer you got. It is Jeff Foxworthy. Jeff Foxworthy, ladies and gentlemen, is hosting
you know what
the American Bible Challenge.
I was like, what's the link with Jeff Dunham? Is it racism? Maybe it's someone from the blue collar comedy. I don't know that the blue collar guys are racist, but I just thought like, Jeff Dunham invented racism.
Jeff Dunham did invent racism in the odds.
To Jeff Dunham, it might be the blue collar comedy tour.
Yeah, but you were exactly right. So yeah, there was a connection, but it was Jeff Foxworthy. That has nothing to do with anything we were talking about. But catch me watching some episodes of the
We'll be watching that,
guys. I will be reporting back on the American Bible Challenge starring Jeff Foxworthy, a comedian that I no joke super like.
Yeah, no, actually, I what's funny is I actually don't think those guys are racist and actually enjoy the blue collar comedy tour. That was just my sort of logical I thought who could be close to inventor of racism? Jeff Dunham. That was the leap I made. No, I like the blue collar comedy tour. They're funny.
Yeah. Continuing on from there. But yeah, back to the challenge. This does seem incredible.
Well, that would be, I think, its defining feature of like what makes this show different is violence. It is the most like violent game show I've ever seen.
There is some bullshit on Netflix right now. I just found a show called Awake, the $1 Million Game.
Oh my god, that show's wild.
Dude, sleepless for 24 hours, contestants in a comedy game show stumble through challenges both eccentric and everyday for a chance to win $1 million while staying awake for 24 hours. What the hell is going on?
I will tell you about this show really quick, but we have more stuff.
Yeah, we got it. We got to move on. This cannot be just one big reality check / ought not.
What's wild about Awake is they just jump to the game show part. So they're just like, anyway, look at this asshole. He's been awake for 24 hours. Let's play some games. And it's like, oh, so that's not like part of the thing. It's like, nope,
so it's not.
Here it is.
They've been awake for 24 hours and then they start doing stuff?
And then they do the show.
Oh no! I thought it was like
really hard.
It was like, hey everybody, what's up? This is like hour 8, and then it gets increasingly worse. Oh my gosh!
They're like
somebody from an ethic catch the producers of Sleepless before an ethics committee in 2024 being like, your guys are going to jail. Like they're going to jail.
I sent this to you, and this might be one of our first pieces of video content on the YouTube channel, but. I sent you and reality check correspondent Brooklyn a chart that I'm working on.
Oh, right.
My friends and I are having a PowerPoint party where everyone makes a PowerPoint presentation.
That's a real you party.
Yeah, it is. And I picked the reality TV spectrum where I was going to graph every reality television show. It's too much to explain at the moment. But one of the axes is and I've talked about it on the show, the Jeff Chris spectrum. So the x-axis is Jeff Probst to Chris Hansen. Harmon. One of them's the Catch Predator guy, one of them's the Bachelor guy. Anyway, Chris. And basically is this show trying to help the contestants, or is this show trying to actively hurt the contestants?
Mm-hmm.
And Awake is definitely pretty far on the Chris side of the spectrum, where it is just an actively evil show trying to destroy its own contestants, which is pretty funny.
That's good. Yeah,
anyway,
I'm looking at your chart now. This looks incredible.
There's actually more.
It would explain how you would know what Awake was off the rip.
Yeah, I watch a lot of reality television shows. So I would be remiss if I did not mention, if we did not go into our beloved section. I watch hockey, and so should you.
Control wins the draw. Shot by Irwin, misses the net. Weber keeps it in at the line. Watson scores! Traffic in front. Austin Watson through the puck towards the net.
Oh, damn. my beautiful co-opted section.
Yeah, your baby who's been stolen from you. So
yeah.
Quick update.
It's a real Moses situation I got going on right now.
Well, all right. This is gonna be a short one because frankly I'm tired because we've been on the phone for an hour and a half because of me. So I will say the first 2 games we lost. I think that's where we were last time I recorded. Game 3 and Game 4 were in Nashville, and we won in double overtime both times. It was fucking awesome. But they were hard-fought games because, frankly, the Carolina Hurricanes are incredibly good at hockey. They're super good. Can't fault them. And so we really worked our ass off, and we won. We tied up the series 2-2. It's the first of 4. Last night we played them again. Tomorrow we're playing them again as well. Last night we played them again. We were at Carolina. The Preds did an amazing job. They played so good. But unfortunately, Carolina tied it up in like the last couple minutes, and then in overtime they scored. And in hockey, if it's overtime, first one to score, end of the game. It's not like you wait till the end of the 20 minutes. It's just like if you score, overtime's over. So unfortunately, we lost the game last night. Tomorrow is back in Nashville, so probably we will win, but that'll tie it up 3-3, which means the Game 7 will be in Carolina where they have home field advantage. It's looking a little rocky. Our boys are playing amazing, but it's a little rocky as far as the playoffs go. Also, I'm just mentioning this because I didn't mention it at the top of the show. I think, finally, I've fixed this microphone so it sounds correct. It sounded better than the episode with Brooklyn, but it still sounded bad last episode, and I think now I have fixed it. But who knows?
That's a good audio check-in. That's one of our famous segments.
Just remembered. Anyway,
so
go ahead.
Oh, just Are you done with I Watch Hockey and so should you?
No, I just have one. I was gonna do a quick player spotlight. on one of our boys, but maybe I can save it for another episode. I was going to do Philip Forsberg. If you've got something else.
Oh, no, I was literally just going to say, back to the real segment, I watched sports and so should you. The NBA Finals is going on right now. Not much to report. That's all I have to say about that.
Are the Nets not in it, or what?
The Nets are in it, and the last game they played was yesterday, and they're playing against the Celtics, and they won 130 to 108, which is quite the victory. So they're doing great, and I'll have probably more to report on them later when they inevitably go to the finals, because they are a wrecking ball, just destroying everything in their path.
As opposed to the Preds, who are the absolute underdog in this series. So, for a quick player spotlight, because I'm very tired and not going to give this effort.
But I do want to say one thing, and this is just something that I would be remiss to say without. The Knicks are in the playoffs, and that's just really exciting. The Knicks haven't been in the playoffs in a very long time. They're traditionally horrible. I already talked to you about JT and the Straight Shooters. So it's just the fact that they're in it is a miracle, and even probably when they lose, if there is a situation where the Knicks are playing against Brooklyn, I will summon all of the powers that I have and just shoot energy a la Dragon Ball Z just towards the Knicks, and I'll be like, I need the Knicks to win everything. I just need them to be happy.
Shout out to Spike Lee. I hope your team wins. Hey, thanks for making Do the Right Thing in Crooklyn. They're very good movies.
Yeah.
So quick spotlight on Philip Forsberg. He's a Swedish hockey player. He is the alternate captain for the Nashville Predators. Here's the thing. If you're trying to get into hockey, specifically the Nashville Predators, I'm just going to give you a bullet point of like, this is the nugget I need to remember about this guy, right? Pecorine or Saros, there are goalies. Saros, goalie. Pecorine, goalie. Got it. Great, amazing, and saving. Forsberg, he is an amazing scorer. He scores. He's one of our top scorers. He's had consecutive years of being the top scorer in like Nashville history. He has a myriad of awards for getting hat tricks, where like he's broken every record in our franchise for getting hat tricks and all these, which is 3 goals in a row and all these different scenarios. But mostly, I want to talk to you about my absolute favorite goal that Forsberg ever had. He's been playing with us since 2012, 2013. Okay? Favorite goal he has ever had. And it is called the Michigan goal.
The Miracle on Ice. Oh.
No. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So the Michigan goal is a goal that has only happened like a handful of times. Like 6 times total. It is named for a goal made by, at the time, Michigan player Mike Legg. Okay? It's also called the lacrosse goal. 2 NHL players in history have ever made one
brought
of
a
these
lacrosse
goals.
stick out onto the ice.
Yes, exactly. So the original Michigan goal was made by Mike Lee when he was playing for Michigan in an NCAA tournament. So it wasn't NHL. I've seen other Michigan goals. I think there was one in the Olympics, but there's only been 2 ever in NHL history. One of them is Philip Forsberg. So what it is when you're behind the goal, right? You're behind the opposing goal, so the goal you're trying to score into. The player, Forsberg in this case, gets the puck, launches it up onto his stick, and then like it's a lacrosse ball, swings it, like lifts it in the air on the stick, and then swings it around backwards into the net, like the corner of the net. So like he's like picking it up with the lacrosse stick and then shwoom, slams it back around. The reason it's called the Michigan goal is because Mike Legg was playing for Michigan when he made this goal. But it is one of the most insane goals I have ever seen. Like the dude just sort of like picks it up like it's a plate and then swings it around the net. It's amazing. You have to look it up. Forsberg is an he's an incredible player. One of our best scorers, one of the best scorers in the league. His contract's up next year, so hopefully we get him again.
Gosh.
I know. I will be
You guys are 0 for 2 on players.
Well, we could re-sign him, but we just don't know yet.
Oh man, 1996.
Yeah, the Michigan goal was 1996. The only other player in the NHL who have ever scored a Michigan goal is this player named Skavek. Fuck, I knew this earlier. Skavechnikov. Yeah. Okay. This player named Skavechnikov, who plays for the Carolina Hurricanes currently. So the two dudes that have ever done this thing are playing against each other right now.
Yeah. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be like a Highlander type situation where the both of them have to, like, one of them has to do it. One of them has to be the final word on who gets to do the lacrosse goal, and it has to be this year. So that's going to be really
Game 7. Like, we'll win at home, and then Game 7,
and both
Forsberg
of them
will get another one.
Both of them know, a la a fistful full of dollars. They're like, it's like they're staring each other down. Like, we both know that there can only be one true person who can hold the title of this goal, and it has to be one of us, and it has to be tonight.
Well, what's wild about Forsberg is, like, to get a hat trick in hockey, like, very often.
I did it several times when I played hockey video games on the PS2, so it's actually not that hard.
What I'm saying is,
I also did icing a lot. Whatever that means, I did it a shit ton.
You know what? I found out what icing means, and it's not offsides. It's kind of offsides, but it's not offsides.
Is it when the puck goes beyond the halfway point and there's no one over there except for the goalie?
No.
Oh.
That would be offsides. What I was going to say is that, like, it is pretty routine that a hockey team will not score 3 goals a game, let alone one person doing it, like, 2 consecutive games. Like, the fact that there were back-to-back games that he got hat tricks is wild, and that he's done it multiple times. Like, he's an incredible scorer. I think he has the current record for most goals in a season. He's, like, tying the franchise high of, like, 33 goals in a season, which is the franchise high for the Nashville Predators. So, like,
what is icing? The audience demands to know.
Icing. So basically, there are 3 red lines on the ice. There's one that's, like, at the goal line, one in the middle, and one at the other goal line. And the puck cannot cross 2 red lines without, or, like, before one of your other players does. So if I'm behind if I'm behind my goal, I can't hit it past the red line and then past the middle line before another player gets there, basically. So that's not offsides. Well, but it's not just the halfway point, because if you're past that first red line and you hit it past the halfway point and the back red line, the third one, that would also be icing. It just basically keeps you from, like, launching it to no one across. It's a similar function to offsides, but it's not the same rules. We need to have this on. They can explain.
This is one of the reasons. Yeah, in the finale, when the Nashville Predators are in the proverbial finals,
Stanley Cup.
Yeah. That is when we'll have the Twins on. We'll call them in, and I'll have only questions about the bubble. That is my angle the entire time.
Oh yeah, because they worked the NBA bubble.
Yeah, they were in the bubble. And that is the only thing I wanted. You're going to talk about hockey the whole time, and I'm, like, exclusively on bubble content.
It's funny because we have a bunch of friends we have a bunch of segments, and then we also have a bunch of friends who are much more equipped to talk about any of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet we're the hosts of the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's our show. They can have their own damn show, and then they'll bring us on when they want to talk about reality TV shows from the 2000s. All right.
No, but that's what but I guess that's what I'm saying. But then again, you think of someone like like Joe Rogan, where it's like, well, he doesn't know shit about shit, but he brings on all these experts who do know about those things. Maybe this is perfect.
Joe Rogan, the living caveman, bringing on a host to just explain to him, like, how the world works. He's like, he is like some sort of like immortal being that is like sitting on a throne that he has got only by blood, and he brings scientists and magicians and other sort of wonderful people into his throne room to explain to him the world.
I think that is both accurate, and I think that he would find it a compliment. Like, yeah, he seems like a very both inquisitive and charming guy. I like it. I like it a lot. I've seen like one episode of his show when he interviewed Bernie Sanders, but you know. He seems like a charming guy.
Yeah. He's he. I feel like I haven't seen any of his stuff, and I don't want. I mean, we're still on Spotify, so I don't want to rock the boat too much, lest we get deplatformed because Joe Rogan is their baby. Can't be saying too much about him. So.
Oh yeah, it's not the Spotify. I mean, yes, I agree with you, but yes. God, I'm running on empty, boss. I got spending an hour of doing two guys try to learn how to use a computer. Really fucking took it out of me.
It was back to the old days. Back to two guys trying to figure out how computers work. God. Back when I was in the upstairs room of my what is now my office, and I was like holding my computer, and like I was putting on a chair while I was on my like knees in front of it, like just trying to desperately like get Wi-Fi into it. Those were the days.
Those were right, because I always had to ask you about your Ethernet cable. See, now that I know that you were recording at the top of the coffee shop, I realized there's nowhere the Ethernet cable could get plugged in.
Absolutely not. Yeah, man. And I did that because we would record right at like 9:30 or whatever, and that was when the shop closed, so I would just have to run upstairs just like piece it together, and it was the only room that didn't have a huge echo, because sometimes I would go into like the downstairs part and you would just hear like cars zipping past, and we recorded our one episode in the top floor, and I had to sneak off into a separate room. But yeah, those were the days, man. This takes me back to when it was 100% my fault that the episodes were like, and I didn't have a microphone, I didn't have shit. I was just like,
wait, what do you mean you didn't have a microphone?
I thought I didn't have a microphone. I thought I was
you
just
had a microphone from Solve It.
Oh right. Oh no, even back in the Solve It days, I was doing the same thing.
You didn't have a microphone?
I may have, I don't know, but I feel like I bought, man, this is some insider trading.
This is inside baseball for sure.
But I'm pretty sure that I bought a microphone for, and this is a blast from the past, I'm pretty sure I bought a microphone for Too Afraid to Ask.
Right.
So I may have just had this snowball that's on my desk for forever. Okay, never mind. I guess I did have the microphone.
Yeah, because that's how I got a snowball. Was I was like, what mic do you have? Anyway, also that is all in reference to a long lost episode that sounded so shitty I just deleted it. I mean, like, I have the audio, but like we never released our live show.
Yeah,
it wasn't literally a live show. It was me and Zach were in the same place at the same time talking.
Yeah,
but we're in this big echoey room, and it just sounded like
I knew
garbage.
it too.
It sounded so bad.
It
wasn't. Hey, I'll say it was not my microphone.
The entire time I was up there, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the sounds of Baxter Avenue are just like whipping past us every single second.
It wasn't that. It was that your microphone picked up all my audio. So there was like an echo whenever I would talk. Like I could hear, my audio track was just me. It sounded like this right now. But then your audio track was you and also me across the table, and it sounded like
I should have been cupping it and just holding it really, really close like that.
Exactly. Anyway, this is very inside baseball. I'm so very tired, so this is going to be
very
a shorter
inside baseball.
Episode.
Yeah. So we actually almost we got pretty much there. So let's go ahead and call it. And I will say that thank you all so much for coming to Solve It. If you guys want to find more of our stuff, you can find us on Instagram at get_better_podcast. You can also find us on YouTube with the Get Better podcast. Just search that in the bar, and you can find our full episodes as well as little things you can send around. Sam had just referenced the possibility of a video that we may put out with his PowerPoint on the dangers of just going on any reality TV show. Yeah, and if you want to continue to listen to us on Spotify, please do. That would be really exciting. But also, if you're listening to us on iTunes and you want to leave us a rate and review, that would be awesome. We do have one review. It is from a friend of the show, Brooklyn. So if we could get some more of those to get us more notice, that would be fantastic. And finally, if you want to reach us, you can find us at meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. That is meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. And that's all I have. So see you guys next week.
All right.
All right.
See you. Bye forever.
See you. Bye forever.